Bosh! Right, so it's National Apprentice week. Got Mr. Apprentice, the man who's known in Liverpool as Mr. Apprentice. Here with us. We're going to go around some famous Liverpool landmarks, Tom.
Oof, like what?
What do you mean, like what? This is where my granddad grew up around it. The Strand. No, this is where my granddad grew up, Kirkdale, around this neck of the woods. Just over there. I've known you for ages. I've just been cleaning out the car for this and just found your wedding invite.
Too long.
But I genuinely have no idea how you got into apprentice. Like, how did you get into it? Like, what's the crack?
To be honest, I've always done like your typical education route of school, college, university. Because back when I was younger, I'm old now, but apprenticeships to me were...
You're not that old.
With like the trade, typical stuff, apprenticeships. But I got into it because after uni, I got into teaching 16 to 24 year olds who were, again, stereotypically kicked out of mainstream school, weren't invested in it, engaged, been in jail, on tag, like that type of stuff, that type of background really, and that's how I got it. So I got into teaching, and then it was about giving them a second chance. And don't get me wrong, not every single learner was like that. There was a lot who'd come from the mainstream education system and didn't fancy it anymore. So teaching them BTEC sport qualifications, and then we had to give them a pathway into a sports coach apprenticeship within schools. So I used to have to go into the schools, meet with the schools to try and get them the vacancy and the placement, and it was that bit of business development and engaging with business people, head teachers, business managers, whoever that might be, principals, and then buying into that and getting that little bit of a buzz, of a win, of a sell, if you like, and then just progress from there into 4 other training providers now.
Did you used to coach footy as well, or did you I remember talking to your dad, was it maybe your brother at your wedding, did your speech at your wedding was saying like the family were all massive football heads and used to coach football quite a bit. Sorry, someone just jumping out in front of us. Standard Liverpool. We're going to go down this road here. This is where my granddad grew up 100 years ago. He used to... Well, it's not 100 years ago he lived down there, but this is where he grew up, down the wall. But this is probably typical of like a Liverpool area as well, isn't it? And like, you used to coach footy round here, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was it? Up the goals up the top?
Yeah, so there's the pitch there, and there was Scotty Road as well, so I used to play there when I was younger. And then I got into coaching quite early on really, because I couldn't get a game.
Not as good as your brothers.
We're as good as everyone
else.
else.
Do you think that's like helped you though? Because like the one thing that obviously we've got along pretty well over the last few years, but definitely one of the things with you is like you've got loads of empathy towards people, and I think that's one of the things you need when you're, certainly with me, I've got 3 apprentices now. But do you think your coaching or your footy background helps with like the type of people that you bring on? Because every single one that you or Peter have brought to the table, should we say, they've all been absolute diamonds.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, back when I was doing the teaching with those learners, as a little incentive that I used to give them was if they knuckled down and got on with what they needed to do, and they shown good attitude and everything in the college that we were running, I'd reward them with like coming to play for our Saturday League football team, and it was West Lancs League, it was West Lancs level, step 7, it was good. So exposing them to that as like a little incentive was good for them, but it definitely helps with like the people person resonance.
Yeah, because the backgrounds, I don't know how many apprentices it is over the different companies I've worked for, and every company, to be fair, has been really supportive of apprentices. I started, well, crikey, 12, 15 years ago with a company called Just Accounts, and the owner there, Barry Florida, he was an absolute diamond for supporting young people. He gave me a massive opportunity. I don't know if I've told you, Tom, but I spent 10 years in the army. But he was really supportive of I was saying, look, some good eggs, what some of the people have gone on who we brought in as apprentices, who set them out were seen at the time as one of the leading SEO agencies, some unbelievable talent in there. And then we had people coming in who now gone on to pretty big things. A few really good eggs in there. But it is National Apprentice week, so we've got a little guest with us. next Everton legend. He's also was an apprentice as well. Oh, there he is. Look, do you recognise him?
Dressed the same as me by the looks of it.
Yeah, big JJ. So yeah, we're gonna get JJ in. We're gonna ask JJ a few little questions. See his little journey. Everton legend.
Everton legend?
Yeah, Everton legend. He was at Everton.
Hello, JJ.
How are we, boys?
Everton College. It wasn't really Everton, I don't think. He wanted to be the next Jordan Pickford, and then. Where did your journey start, JJ, as an apprentice? Pretty unique, innit, really?
Yeah, so obviously you just touched upon that. I was at Everton College. Really, the whole point of that last year at Everton College, the coaches, the teachers are telling you that you either go try semi-pro, get a scholarship in America, or go to university to study anything from sports science, sports coaching. And I knew in that last year that kind of sports wasn't really for me. I was kind of fed up with it all, doing it pretty much as a job in those last 2 years at Everton, and I kind of came out of it confused and lost. Not really know.
Bit dramatic, innit? Confused and lost. You went working at McDonald's, probably one of the biggest brands on the planet.
Yes, I was working at McDonald's. I was working at McDonald's part time, but then it was kind of just like there was the pressure of just getting an actual real job, and I didn't want to go to university. I think that's the massive stigma surrounding my age group, is that there's still that massive focus that if you want to go far in life, you have to go to university, and it is it's needed for certain jobs. But yeah, and then I've reached out to a friend of mine who we used to work with, and he told me all about this digital marketing gig, and just out of the blue I just asked, like, is there any chance your boss has got any other jobs going? And then yeah, a week later I had my interview with AJ, and I started it 2 days later, and
Yeah, it's mad that, JJ, because when you touch on it, then the stigma, certainly when I was at school, I'm old enough to be your dad, but when I was at school 20 years ago, you either joined the army like I did, you went to college and university like my wife Laura did, or you went to be an apprentice. But at the time, an apprentice, I don't actually know if it was any different, but if you went on an apprenticeship, they were like brickies, hairdressers, sparkies. They weren't really, but I was looking, and there's 700 different apprenticeships, over 700 different apprenticeships in this country now. You could be an apprentice pilot, which I find absolutely mad now. But
they've evolved so much over the years, like you say, just from becoming brickies, hairdressers, typical trades or anything.
Massive irony in that, though, isn't it? Because, like, brickies now, like you see them on Instagram, they're an absolute fortune, like hairdressers, I don't even understand why people look down at those sort of roles and whatever it may be, because
everyone needs a brickie.
Yeah, everyone needs a brickie.
I mean, like, now you can get into teaching assistant apprenticeships at the age of 16, being paid anything from, let's say, 14k upwards. You've already got your foot in the door at the school. You can complete your teaching assistant level 3, and then you go on to do your teacher training and potentially PGCE qualifications and everything then. But you can do them in anything. I mean, our group as our Access Industry, we're a massive group. We've got Access Sports, we've got Access Creative Colleges all over the UK. So we do like your study programme qualifications as well. Then we do T-levels, then we do apprenticeships. T-levels in like e-sports, e-games.
E-sports? No way.
Playing FIFA.
That's class. I'm really buzzing me for the next journey that for apprentices. I wish more people would embrace what apprentices are about. I always see it, and I always talk about our competitive advantage. I genuinely think like apprentices are, I've got some ambitions to be, relative to size, one of the biggest apprentice employers, certainly in Liverpool, if not wider afield, because I just think it's massively rewarding, and then you mould them into like what you actually want them to be. But yeah, that's our little video for today. But yeah, if you need an apprentice or you want to know more about apprentices, do not come to me. Tom is your man. Tom is Mr. Apprentice. You should go on The Apprentice. That'd be funny, innit?
Get fired.
Yeah, you're fired.
You're fired.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching all of this. And yeah, I don't even know how you end it. They always put like the screen and stuff, don't they?